Hey pals, it's Angelina. Real quick before we start the show, if you haven't listened to our first episode, you might want to go back and listen to it before this episode. It's not totally necessary, but it'll help give you the full context. All right, you've been warned. So, looking back, it's pretty obvious. I had been running away from post-college life by jetting off to Greece, delaying the inevitable next step of getting a full-time job. But when I finally did return home, the working world just didn't look right. Yes, I needed and wanted to work, but the type of work I originally thought I would get into didn't seem like a fit. I wasn't exactly sure what I now wanted to do, but I knew I'd be happier if it had anything to do with travel. So, of course, my first job after Greece had nothing to do with travel. But while I navigated the new waters of office life, I spent a lot of time surfing the internet, mostly looking up flights to basically everywhere, and also reading a lot of interesting articles on Elite Daily, this super low-key website you've definitely never heard of. Kidding. Many of the pieces I read felt like they were written specifically for me, referencing things that kept running through my own head, like not wanting to waste my time doing things I didn't really enjoy. Hello, job. And making the most of my free time and weekends to just do anything new. One day, while I was probably supposed to be working, I came across an article that sounded like it was written just for me. It starts by saying, "Too many people simply coast through life one day at a time while looking forward to the next best event. The thing is, you're robbing yourself of the present moment. Make the most of all your days instead of looking forward to the next best one. You create your own reality, so why not make it the best possible life you can?" Whoa, get out of my head. The article moves on to list things that you can do to improve your life, but the two that really hit home for me were about traveling and following your dreams. I vibed with the message so much, I printed it out and hung it up at my desk. I read parts of it basically every day. And over the years, I've taken it with me to different jobs. I needed to see it as a reminder that my personal goals were just as important as my work. I wanted to be something, not just anything. And this article helped put me in that mindset. So much so, it got me to thinking that maybe I could write some articles for Elite Daily. I always kind of thought of myself as a writer, and if the readers were anything like me, I knew what topics they wanted to see. So I shot an email in the dark with story angles to an editor. And it fucking worked. I actually heard back from them, and they actually wanted to see some written pieces from me. It got me excited in a way that I hadn't felt since I'd been in Greece. Doing something I really enjoyed. And maybe starting to move in the right direction of the types of things I wanted to do more of. It turns out this one article, titled "Why Being Something is Better Than Just Being," was written by this prolific writer who wrote over 600 articles.
Yeah, I think that number is probably like 1,100.
That's Ashley Fern.
But
previously the senior lifestyle editor at Elite Daily, and now the digital director for Haute Living Magazine. That article Ashley wrote was really one of the reasons I started dipping my toes into travel writing. So I had to talk to Ashley about why she wrote that piece and what her life has been like since writing it. We got together in a small office space in New York, and I started off by asking her what sparked the idea for this article.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt coming from college, transitioning into the city, a lot of people, including myself, were at these entry-level jobs where they were not happy. They were just doing it because they were supposed to do it, and that's where I found myself.
Girl, same.
I was a paralegal for 9 months, and I hated it, like, after month one. But, you know, I stuck it out because you're supposed to stay at a job for a year before you get another job. So I, started researching things and Googling things on the internet, about how I was feeling, and I found the site Elite Daily, And at the time, they were very small. I had reached out to them and said, everything that you guys are writing resonates well with me. I will do photos. I will get you coffee. I will write anything you want me to write. I write legal papers all day. I can write like real talk.
Ashley landed the job at Elite Daily, not just because her writing skills were on point, which they are, or because she's hardworking, which she is, but because their personalities just vibed. They trusted Ashley's ability to share that real talk with the rest of the world. How else have you tried to be something in your everyday life since then?
Yeah, I mean, I just like look for role models in my everyday life. I really look up to my dad. He's always encouraged me to, you know, if you can make it happen, like go do it. Which is fortunate because a lot of people's parents, I feel like there's a disconnect in the generations where they're like, no, you have to follow this path. And my family is like, no, we value happiness over a paycheck, but also don't move home. So figure out a way.
Figure it out, but be happy.
We'll help you, but be happy, because if you're not happy, there's no point doing anything that you're doing, because
absolutely.
You can't just live life paying bills.
I wanted to dig deeper and learn where that attitude came from in Ashley's family.
So my dad, more so in his life, was in a car accident that kind of changed his life. He lost the ability to walk and then made a rapid recovery, and now he can walk, and he just defied all the odds. So I kind of feel like I have to.
Yeah.
And it's just really encouraging, because if someone can overcome that, like, if you're not happy, like, you have the ability to change in your life. Like, it's in your control.
While I can't imagine what Ashley's dad may have went through, I can definitely relate to the notion of only having one life to live and wanting to maximize the happiness we get from it. Many of us prevent ourselves from doing things purely out of fear or worry. Ashley's dad had real physical limitations, and he didn't let that stop him from moving forward and overcoming them. That's truly inspiring. With everything going on in today's world, it's scary, but we shouldn't let that stop us from seeking new experiences or happiness.
Being scared really hinders people's growth, and I think if you never try, you're never gonna see what you can accomplish. And once you get a taste of it, like, you're never gonna turn back. So once people get over that initial fear, I think that, like, the reward is there, and they just keep going.
Did you realize when you were writing this article that it carried so much weight in terms of, you know, how far you'd come and just where you saw yourself going?
I feel like that translates into probably everything that I do, because it's always in the back of my head. Like,
right.
People can accomplish amazing things every day, and every day is a gift. And
yeah,
you know, you got 24 hours in a day. You know, if you want to go do more stuff, wake up early, go to bed late.
We only get 2 full days in a weekend. Why spend that valuable time just laying around watching Netflix?
And we all live in these amazing cities. Like, there's something new to do. It doesn't matter how long you've lived here. And there's always something to do, a new restaurant, a new place to go.
Exactly.
Even if you just, instead of laying on your couch reading a book, you go sit in the park, or you do that on a bus going somewhere you've never gone before.
Totally.
Like, it's so easy to get around now. And Ubers are everywhere. So, like, you really can go anywhere you want and not really know where you're going, because we have technology that'll help us and guide us, and you just need to be confident enough in yourself to pick up and go.
Absolutely. I really think that, like, this article and, like, probably some others that you wrote, in having that same, like, idea of don't just sit home. Like, there are adventures that you can take out there that are only 3 hours away, that you can jump in a car and do, that you can do in your own city. And it was, like, so obvious, yet so, like, mind-blowing that it's right in front of me and I can do those things, but why am I wasting them just, like, being
I mean, I wrote it, and I was, you know, I'm sure I was writing it to myself too, as, like, an encouragement.
Right.
Like, hey, don't just sit around, do this, because there are days where I just want to sit around and watch TV.
Yeah.
But it's more fun when you're not doing that.
Absolutely.
But I also think people can interpret that article with whatever's going on in their life, whether it's a relationship, a job, a living situation, anything.
Totally. I mean, I think you touched on, like, a couple of different things. It was travel, follow your dreams, exercise, conquer your fears, put down the Netflix, you know? So it was more than just, I mean, I obviously resonated really with the travel aspect, but I mean, it could literally be something like just learn something new.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be going anywhere. It could just be doing something you've never done before.
Right, because a lot of people, you know, they get up, they go to work, they're tired, they go home, they order dinner, watch TV, and go to sleep, and do it again the next day. And you need to put some variety in your life or you're going to get bored, and boredom does not lend itself well to change.
No, 100%. Just like reading that article for the first time, talking with Ashley really inspired me. We had both been in unhappy-ish jobs and gravitated to Elite Daily as our escape. Both not having real experience with journalism, but knowing how to write from the heart. But for me, it's more than just writing. It always goes back to traveling and seeing the world. So I wanted to chat with someone who travels and gets to write about it full-time, who's doing the damn thing, having visited over 50 countries and made a name for themselves in the world of travel. Stick around after this short break to find out who I sit down with. Today's episode is sponsored by HomeAway. HomeAway is the amazing website that lets you rent the coolest vacation properties around the world, from luxurious ski homes to budget-friendly beach bungalows. They've got over 2 million properties across 190 countries. And here's the thing. When you book with HomeAway, you're getting the whole home outfitted for your stay. That means no food in the fridge or clothes in the closet, only more space and more privacy. And you can find the right spot for any budget, whether you're booking for yourself or a group. Total game changer. I was looking through it earlier, and you guys, there is this gorgeous casita overlooking the ocean in Costa Rica that is calling my name. It's only $135 per night. That just might have to be my next trip. So for your next trip, check out homeaway.com. From condos to castles, they've got something for every trip and every budget. Visit homeaway.com and vacation your way. Hey guys, if you're looking for a podcast recommendation, check out WTK Encore, a behind-the-scenes look at the band We the Kings. They've got a huge following, and you probably know them from their hit song Check Yes Juliet, or maybe from their YouTube vlogs. But what you probably don't know is that these guys are hilarious. In WTK Encore, they meet up during their tour or at home and talk about what life is like being a rock star. So if you're in the mood to laugh or you want to know what life is really like being in a band, listen to WTK Encore. You can subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. That's WTK Encore. Lindsay Silberman is the senior digital editor for Town & Country magazine, where she covers all kinds of travel and lifestyle stories. She is extremely well-traveled. Lindsay rode an albino water buffalo in Thailand, had lunch in the Omani Desert with a Bedouin family, and swam with great white sharks in South Africa. This girl is goals. She gets to go on the sickest adventures, then come home and write about them for a super well-known publication. I had to pick her brain about how she got there. Well, obviously, I cyber-stalked you.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, it's just, the way the world is now.
No shame in my cyber-stalking game. I mean, it's all podcast research, right? Anyway, what I found when looking into Lindsay's personal website was that she has a journalism mantra. Do it for the story. So I started out by asking her when she adopted that approach.
So I actually don't remember specifically when I started. I'm sure it began years ago when I first got into the journalism field. And I think so often people are really hesitant to do anything or just take risks and do things that scare them. And my feeling has always been, if you're hesitating about doing something, you should just do it, because at the very least you maybe gave up a few hours of your life, or you walk away with like a crazy story to tell. In my travel experiences, there have been many times where I've done things that felt really uncomfortable or really outside of the norm, or made me nervous, but I have some really crazy stories to tell, and to me that is worth all of the, anything that makes you vulnerable or uncomfortable. The stories are the best, because, I think that's like your legacy, and it's sort of like what you have to connect with people.
I dig this. Put yourself out there and don't cut yourself short. The worst thing that can happen is you get a story you can tell for the rest of your life. on putting yourself out there. Lindsay told me about one of her crazier experiences where she tested the limits for a story.
I went to Oman in the Middle East for 10 or 12 days and did a story about how it's like luxury, it was the new hot luxury destination, and everyone thought I was completely insane because people were like, it's in between Yemen and Saudi Arabia, like no one's going there.
Side note, I had to Google Oman. All I knew was that it's in the Middle East. But shit, it's cool. Beautiful beaches with green-blue water and giant desert mountains and canyons in the distance. These intense mosques with gorgeous architecture all lit up in the city. Camels casually walking along the beach. It definitely looks like a luxurious destination.
I was positive that it was like the next big thing, and I went, and everyone there were these like chic European, like super posh, wealthy people from Germany and London, and it was like there were no Americans there, and everyone kept saying, yeah, we just don't understand why this isn't an American thing. And so I kind of did a whole big story about how Americans are squeamish about going to a place like that, but if you go, it turns out that it's like, you know, just as incredible and exotic and amazing as a lot of other places.
Yes, girl. Finding those hidden gems before other Americans do, and getting to share the experience of it firsthand with her readers. Goals. But I had to know. How'd she come across Oman?
Oman kept coming up. It came up like 3 or 4 times, and then I read about it maybe in the New York Times and read about it somewhere else, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, this is more than just like a fleeting thing. So I did a ton of research. I put together a whole pitch. I planned a whole trip, and my boss was like, if you really feel like this is a thing, you know, go with it. So
visiting Oman worked out for Lindsay. She didn't let fear or stigmas get in the way, and she pushed herself outside of her comfort zone. That's one thing I've learned from my own travels as well. In order to really experience, you have to go outside of what you're comfortable with. Sometimes you just have to book the trip, or trust the sketchy guide, or take a left-hand turn just because you can.
Putting myself in situations where I'm going to a place I've never been before, I don't speak the language, I don't know anyone there, I'm completely on my own, has taught me a lot just about myself and about the fact that when you think that you won't be able to hang or survive in a certain atmosphere, like it's a fight or flight situation. So you kind of just figure it out. And a lot of times I find that being out of my comfort zone and alone and in an unfamiliar place is sort of like the most interesting, like one of the most interesting things you can do.
I couldn't agree more. Some of my most interesting travel stories came from times when I was uncomfortable in an unfamiliar place, which clearly Lindsay has experience with too. There's actually one other thing besides our love for travel that Lindsay and I have in common. Are you typically like a fast traveler, a slow traveler? Do you stay in one destination the whole time?
I am an unbelievably fast traveler, like to a fault. I really have very little patience to enjoy things, and I'm trying to get better about that. But you know, the way I look at it is that I have such a limited amount of time, and I want to be able to see and experience as much as possible in as short a period of time as possible. So a lot of times, like, it ends up being stressful because you're like, okay, I have like 20 things I want to do. I have only 2 days to do them, and how many places can I get in that amount of time, and how many hotels can I see, how many restaurants can I eat at, how many bars can you go to for a drink, but I also wouldn't change that, because whereas one person might prefer to chill in one place for 6 days, like my preference and my priority would be to see 3 places for 2 days, because I just think like having the knowledge and being able to speak like intelligently about many different places is like a, you know, that's like always my priority.
Totally. You're preaching to the choir. I'm like same way.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because, you know, I work full time, so I maximize those PTO days.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you have so few days to work with.
Yeah.
So when you have them, you want to, get out of it as much as you can. And I wish I could be that type of person. Like in Singapore, I went to this botanical garden. It was beautiful. But I was like in and out in 30 minutes, whereas other people would spend like 3 hours there. But I was like, okay, great. I saw it. Maybe that's a New Yorker in me. I don't know. But I was like, great, saw it, took some pictures, beautiful flowers. Like 30 minutes was enough for me. I didn't need any more than that, but because I would prefer to be on to see the next thing.
No, same. Me too. Story of my life. The whole reason I've been able to travel so frequently while having a 9-to-5 is that I'm super strategic when it comes to vacation days. I jam-pack my itineraries, and I soak up as much as possible when visiting any destination. Both Ashley and Lindsay gave me some major inspo, like having the confidence to pursue what makes me happy and trying to live life more adventurously. In their own ways, both of them also guided me on making the most of my time. From Ashley, I understood this more broadly. Make the most of every day. Don't waste time just sitting around or doing things that don't make you happy. You control your life, so you can control your time and how to best use it. It's important for me to always be aiming at that. We don't have to settle for content just because that's the norm. We should push ourselves, test ourselves, and like Lindsay said, get outside of our comfort zone. If I had never pitched Elite Daily on a whim, who knows if I would have ever gotten so involved in writing and documenting my experiences. Maybe Unmapped wouldn't even be a thing. With Lindsay, it's more travel related, but the lesson is still the same. Make the most of your time, whether visiting a foreign destination or somewhere not even too far from home. Which, of course, gets that old wanderlust feeling going again and makes me wonder, where can I explore without taking a vacation day or hopping on a flight? Where have I never been? Where next? Thank you for listening to Unmapped. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you heard, leave us a review. You can find out more by going to our website, unmapped.show. Special thanks to Ashley Fern and Lindsay Silberman. You can find out where to follow them in the show notes. I've been your host, Angelina Zeppieri. You can check out my travel blog at whereisnext.com and follow me on Instagram at wherenextangelina. Unmapped is a proud member of Uncover Studios. You can follow Uncover on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Uncover Studios. If you'd like to sponsor Unmapped, contact us at sponsor@uncoverstudios.com. Our executive producer is Dave Keine. Adam Raymunda produced and scored this episode. Our staff also includes Caroline Valentino, James DiFrancesco, Laura Scott, Alvaro Nadal, Heather Kugel, and Sean Decker. That felt better than my closet. It's the Adam closet. It really does it for me.
I'm glad it's so homey in there.
I really made
I'm trying to make it a little more spacious for you.
I see. I appreciate the bench so I can put my water on.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.